traditional face-to-face format has been easy to gauge learner engagement. Learner engagement is seen through hands-on application, through students showing you their understanding, through feeling the experience, through doing the processes, through using technology, experiencing different realia, and of course by teacher observations. However, how different does learner engagement look within the distance education format? What a night to celebrate and honor those that have made distance education a possibility for so many students aspiring to extend their education in an untraditional format. As you already know, as a group of educators, distance education, aka virtual learning or online learning, is that in which learning takes place partially or entirely over the internet. However, universities do not prepare educators to instruct in the virtual world. How do you virtually assess if your students are engaged on the other side of their computer? Our keynote speaker this evening is working to change that. With the heightened enrollment of online courses and programs, Mr. William Rainey Harper, president of University of Chicago, has devoted much of his time researching the key aspects and best practices of online learning. Who knows, in the future, perhaps educators will be able to pursue their degree majoring in online instruction. Such programs require motivated and self-directed students. Everyone has different learning styles, previous experiences, and interests for their motivation to pursue a particular goal. Keeping these students engaged from a virtual perspective is a constant work in progress as new technologies and resources continue to emerge. Mr. Harper believes that learner engagement has to be at the forefront of every distance learning focus. The key aspects of learner engagement within distance education can be exhibited through synchronous or asynchronous approaches. Synchronous learning requires all learners to be at the same place virtually at the same time, via webcast, chat rooms, or Skype, requiring students to respond off the cuff, so to speak.
And if you and Jack want to have your own worldwide group call, Skype lets you conference call 25 people at once, even a mix of Skype and phone. Skype works on every computer, and most smartphones too. With Skype, the internet becomes your phone and file transfer and chat and video conferencing system for talking and working with people. Your friends and coworkers are now just a click away.
Asynchronous learning allows for students to view the same expectation but respond at different times via email, discussion boards, blogs, wikis, or social media, according to their time to reflect and conjure up their best response of the learning goal.
We're getting more and more information and entertainment from each other. It's challenging and changing the duplicated content media world that worked for a couple of 100 years. You and Frank and your friends and their friends have always shared and conversed. Now you're having digital conversations that can be shared, saved, rated, scored, copied, cited, commented, forwarded, noted, quoted, voted, geocoded, sold, stolen, measured, treasured, linked, synced, syndicated, vindicated, printed, argued, searched and shared again, starting new relationships or restarting old ones. People and groups, causes and companies, anyone can talk in any form. Anyone can listen. Anyone can relate to anyone else, worldwide. That's social media.
The best practices and authentic application of learner engagement has to be a balance of the following. Mr. Harper will discuss these different practices in depth. Student engagement starts from the minute they log into their new classroom. Distance education formats must ensure that students understand the demands, technology tools, and responsibilities for online learning. Student attrition rates are higher within distance education than traditional face-to-face formats. Kay McClinney states that these students are less likely to be prepared for the self-discipline and computer skills that are needed to succeed in an online environment. The online instructor must be available to address student needs or concerns. Students that feel abandoned will be quick to drop the course or not receive the highest possible grade. Instructors must regularly post announcements, respond to discussion board posts, and communicate specific times they are available through other forums in order to mentor and challenge the students and keep them engaged. The internet, specific content resources, and applications also allow students to stay engaged. According to George Siemens, the instructor acts as a concierge and network administrator, directing students to the most appropriate resources to discover the learning on their own. Students are more engaged when the resources are right there ready for them and they don't have to search endless hours through the myriad of resources online to find a particular idea that the instructor is trying to convey. Instructors must announce clear expectations. Such rules or tips will cause students to be completely engaged in the learning goals since they know fully what is expected. This is usually done by posting syllabus far in advance, creating a curriculum map laying out the entire term, noting specific topics to include in assignments, and sharing rubrics to communicate how the grades will be derived is incredibly helpful in keeping students engaged in the learning. There must also be a balance of interactions for the students. Students remain engaged when the environment or interactions are always changing. Distance education that contains a variety of large group, small group, and individual opportunities to respond keeps students engaged. Discussions that are open-ended allow for social interactions, encourage critical thinking, validate experiences, support others' thinking, and reinforce processes hold students accountable to participate fully. Through the variety of responses, the students feel part of a learning community and more apt to keep the level of engagement high to fulfill the expectation of the family. Oftentimes, students will share personal information, photographs, and experiences they have had professionally in order to build this bond with other like students just as a family shares. Instructors that administer student surveys or ask for feedback early in the program allow students to feel valued by their instructor. Also, when they see instructors make changes or modifications to the program based on their responses to the survey, students remain engaged. Students have concerns about the instructor's ability to create a level of privacy via online learning. Students' inability to feel safe and secure with personal information, discussions of real professional instances, and sense of honesty taints the student engagement pool through the whole learning process. Mr. Harper will discuss this model for effective engagement levels to be sustained through a student's entire process of achieving their degree. I've already touched on a few of these topics. However, we believe one's engagement level starts from the very act of enrolling all the way through word of mouth about the program even after one graduates. Keeping students engaged in face-to-face format is hard enough considering everyone's backgrounds. However, educators within the distance education format have much more to learn about sustaining this level of engagement to ensure the deepest possible level of understanding for one receiving their education online. Now, without further ado, I introduce to you the grandfather of distance education, Mr. William Rainey Harper.